one of my favorite quotes is this, is most people fail to succeed because they trade what they want most for what they want in the moment. Now that sounds obvious. We're deciding, am I going to eat the apple? Am I going to eat the cookie? And then I pick the cookie, even though my bigger vision for myself is health and I want to eat the apple, but this cookie looks really good. And so I eat the cookie. And we repeat that process over and over and over again. But it doesn't help us understand why we're doing it or how to shift away from doing that. That's just telling you what you already know, which is you're making too many bad choices if you're not achieving the goals that you want. And this is not specific to diet. This is anything. So you can take a lot of the principles that we talk about tonight and apply them to relationship success, career, financial success. They're all the same principles, which is, identify what you want, why you want it, come up with a plan to do it, but it's seeing it through that often is the difficult part. And that's where a lot of people fail, and that's where a lot of people falter. So my goal is to go a step deeper. And of course, we'll talk tactics tonight. I'll talk about what I think you should eat and why, and having an understanding of that information is helpful. But I want you to be able to take a step back and understand more, because you've gone through this. I mean, we could put our hands up and talk about all the diets we've been on and things we've tried and things we failed. But at the end of the day, what we feel, and I sit through enough consultations, literally thousands of them over the last 20 years, and this is what failure feels like. Like I'm just not disciplined, or, I'm just getting old, or it's my genetics, or I have slow metabolism. And I'm not saying that, those don't play a role. They do. And you'll see where those weave in tonight. They're important. But at the end of the day, there's another piece to this. And I think it's the piece that gets missing. So let me ask you this. You can either raise your hand or just internally answer this question. How many people have tried a diet for, let's say, a month or more and then gave it up because it didn't work? I mean, I'll put my hand up. Sure. How many people have done that multiple times, right? Over and over and over again. And so it's easy to get frustrated and feel like you're failing. Now I want you to think about an area where you've been successful, because everybody in this room has something or many things that you are either an expert in or have had a certain level of success in. Think about that right now. So just embody that, whether it's your career, relationships, raising children. Like there's certain things you've done very successfully. Ask yourself, what's the difference? If you can figure that out, and I hope by the end of today I can help you figure that out, at least give you some insight into it. If you can figure that out, that's the secret sauce to making these types of changes last, because you've already done it in other areas. So why can't you do it here? It's not that you don't have enough information, although hopefully we'll talk about things tonight that might be contrary to what you think. It's, maybe it's not even motivation. You're motivated for a period of time, but it's very hard to make motivation last if some of these underlying pieces aren't there. And that's what we'll get into. I like James Clear. If you read his book, it's called Atomic Habits. It's a great read if you want to learn about habits. Habits are important. And this is really the crux of, I think, success in any area. You might have seen this type of graphic before, be, do, have. We're going to talk a lot tonight about do. And why I like the do as a starting point is because until you are the kind of person that would do the things, you don't have the identity yet. And Owen and I had this conversation literally today, which is, he's had lots of success in different areas, but his identity in those areas is, I'm the kind of person who does this, who does this, who does this. And that's why I'm successful. But when it comes to, say, fitness or health, maybe he's not the kind of person that wakes up in the morning and thinks about how much protein he needs to eat. He's not the kind of person that thinks about, what's my training regimen look like this week? So what I'm getting at is that part of success beyond this initial phase has to come from a shift in your identity, like who you are and who you are going to be. Otherwise, the reality is you will fail. And failure will look like what I showed you. I'm just getting old. It's my genetics. It's my hormones. And it's easy to chalk it up to those things. If your identity changes because you're doing more of the stuff, and this is how success works, is although you don't have the identity today, let's say you're in our 100-day fit school program as an example, because lots of people are. It's a container to say, look, I'm going to show you what to do for 100 days. It's okay if you're not the kind of person who likes to go train. It doesn't matter, because you've committed to a process. You have a coach. You have an accountability coach who's going to bug you if you don't show up. We've built the container on purpose because I understand that if I can get you to do the things that will yield some results, then you'll start to, hopefully, many of you will start to shift your identity to become more of this person. And so I can give you the tactics. We'll talk about them today. I'll give you the grocery list. We'll give you all the resources. But over time, it's who you're going to become that will dictate your success.